dissolved form as bicarbonate or as oxyhemoglobin, etc. And describe the physiological significance of the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. Oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. And understand the factors affecting binding of oxygen with hemoglobin. Let us start with carbon dioxide. Two gases primarily, right? Oxygen and carbon dioxide. Now you know carbon dioxide is the one of the major byproducts of cellular metabolism, isn't it? So most of the concentration, and like in the last class we had talked about PCO2 and PO2. So PO2 will be highest in the tissues where PCO2 will be highest in the tissues where in the tissues where PCO2 will be highest inside the cell. So inside the cell. Why? Because the cell is carrying out metabolism and it will have the maximum PCO2. Yes or no?
Yes.
What about outside the cell?
No, it's conversely.
What about see, there is a cell.
Yes.
So intracellular.
Yeah.
Then outside the cell, extracellular. And then there is a capillary, tissue capillary.
Yes.
And there is PCO2 in the tissue capillary also.
Okay.
So there are three partial pressures we are talking about.
Yeah.
Inside the cell, outside the cell, and in the capillary.
Goes
In which,
from
in which direction the carbon dioxide will move?
It will move from the capillary to
Carbon dioxide in the tissues.
From the cell to the capillary.
From the cell,
yeah.
from the cell to the extracellular space to the capillary.
Yeah.
So for this movement,
need transfer.
remember the last class we had on gas exchange.
Yeah.
What is the primary force which determines gas exchange? It is the partial pressure. It is the partial pressure of the gas, isn't it?
Yes.
It is the partial pressure of the gas. It will determine net diffusion. Diffusion will occur in both directions. In
Yeah.
both directions. Lekin net diffusion will occur from high partial pressure
Yeah.
to low pressure. From the last class, from our last gas exchange.
The diffusion, the pressure difference, same partial pressure.
It will keep on diffusing until the partial pressure is the same.
Which
But
one?
net diffusion will occur from high pressure to low pressure.
But not diffusion occurred by partial by pressure difference.
Yes. Partial pressure. Isn't it? So let us see. That is clear now?
Yeah.
Okay? That is very necessary. Normally, cells of body produce about 200 milliliters of carbon dioxide. Every minute. Cells of the body, our body, produces how much? 10 milli. Every minute. Every minute. Okay? The carbon dioxide produced must be eliminated from the body. Carbon dioxide is mainly excreted through the lungs.
Yes.
Okay? Carbon dioxide produced by cells is transported to the lungs by blood in three forms. Number one, dissolved in plasma.
Also by
Dissolved. Okay? How much? About 7 to 10%. But remember 7%. Okay? Chemically bound to hemoglobin, which is more than 20%. Like you can remember this 7%, this 23%. So this becomes 23 and 7, 30%. Okay? As bicarbonate ion in plasma, which is approximately 70%. So which is the form in which the majority of carbon dioxide is transported
the bicarbonate.
in the bicarbonate form, which is the form in which least carbon dioxide is transported
Dissolved in the blood.
dissolved in the plasma, only 7%. Now, because it is only 7% and it is dissolved, so we need not discuss it. You don't need to know anything. It is dissolved in the plasma. Okay? 7% dissolved. Let us go to the second way in which carbon dioxide is transported. How? Bound to hemoglobin. How much percentage? About 23,
Yeah.
right? About 23% bound to hemoglobin. Now, when it is forming a compound with hemoglobin, it is called as carboxy hemoglobin. Sorry, not carboxy.
Carbamine.
Oxy is for carbon for oxygen.
Yeah.
Carb-aminohemoglobin. Okay? It is when it is reversibly combining with hemoglobin, it is called as carb-aminohemoglobin. Okay? This is the reaction.
Yes.
Carbon dioxide plus hemoglobin reversible gives rise to HbCO2, which is called as carb-aminohemoglobin. Now, why do we call it as carb-aminohemoglobin? Because carbon dioxide does not bind to iron. It does not bind to iron as oxygen does. Now, you know the hemoglobin molecule, the hemoglobin itself, the structure of hemoglobin, and the heme molecule inside. Isn't it is having 4 iron sites?
Yes.
Alpha.
Yeah.
And it is having 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains. Correct? You know this, all these things. These 2 alpha chains and 2 beta chains are having 4 iron binding sites. These are
Yeah.
iron sites to which the oxygen will bind. Carbon dioxide will not bind to these sites. Okay? It does not, as oxygen does. But to amino groups. To amine groups in the hemoglobin. On the polypeptide chains of hemoglobin. That is why it is called as carb-aminohemoglobin. Hence, it will not compete. You know, it will carbon dioxide will not compete with oxygen to bind with hemoglobin. There is no competition.
Yeah.
This separate, khalas. Third is as bicarbonate. How much percentage? About 70%. 70%. This is the most common and about 70%. Okay. When carbon dioxide diffuses into the RBCs, what happens? There is an enzyme called as carbonic anhydrase. There is an enzyme called as carbonic anhydrase. This enzyme, acts as a catalyst. And a catalyst means what? It will increase the speed of reaction. It will make it very, very fast, any reaction. So, what is happening? Carbon dioxide in combination with water will form carbonic acid, H2CO3. H2CO3. Will this occur when the carbon dioxide is dissolving in the plasma? There is also water outside the RBC. This is inside the RBC.
Yeah.
This is inside the RBC, diffuses into the RBCs. This as bicarbonate in plasma. But first step is it is going inside the RBCs. What about the carbon dioxide that is dissolved in the plasma? There is water. Will there be formation of carbonic acid?
There is carbonic acid.
Yeah, carbonic acid. This is forming inside the RBC. Will it form in the plasma also?
No, there is a shift phenomenon.
No. Will it form or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, it will. But the only difference is because water is there and carbon dioxide is there in plasma. Carbon dioxide is dissolving in the plasma, so carbonic acid will form. But it will be very slow. That process will be insignificant. It is so slow that it doesn't give any percentage to it. But what is happening inside the RBCs? There is the presence of enzyme carbonic anhydrase which catalyzes this reaction. It makes it very, very fast. So this combination is very fast. Formation of carbonic acid is very fast. As soon as carbonic acid is formed, it will immediately dissociate into proton, which is a hydrogen ion, and bicarbonate, which is HCO3 negative ion. Okay? As bicarbonate in plasma. So what is happening is it will happen all these things. Now once it is formed, bicarbonate diffuses into the plasma. Once it is formed inside the RBC, it is dissociated. The dissociated proton, the hydrogen, what will it do? It has to bind with something. It will bind with hemoglobin, Hb, okay, and be stabilized. And the bicarbonate ion, it diffuses out from the RBC into the plasma. Okay, so one negative ion is going out. Now this will cause disturbance within the cell because the negative is going out. So to compensate for the going out of the negativity, one negative ion will come in.
Yeah.
and that negative ion is chloride.
Yeah, chloride.
Chloride ion. And this phenomena is called as chloride shift. What is chloride shift?
Yeah.
What is chloride shift?
Just now I come.
Yeah, what is chloride shift?
I don't know.
Because you were busy in your phone.
No.
The hydrogen ions formed during this reaction bind to hemoglobin, and this is called as, what is this structure called as? Once it is bind to hemoglobin and hydrogen,
And hydrogen.
protonated hemoglobin. Protonated hemoglobin. Is it clear this thing? To maintain equilibrium, stability, chloride shift. Okay, clear? Shall I go on?
So here it's called protonated.
Yeah, because this is
Yeah,
proton
yeah.
binding with hemoglobin, hence it is called as protonated hemoglobin. So it's the same,
Yeah.
what I have described.
Yeah.
Okay? So this is the cells. The cells are having the carbon dioxide. Where is the carbon dioxide coming from in the cells? Where is the carbon dioxide coming from in the cells? Cells are having carbon dioxide. Where is it coming from? Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Okay. Where is the cells? Where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from?
Carbon dioxide.
From?
To the cell, RBC or
Cells, tissues. Where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? Where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? Where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? Yes? Loudly please. Mitochondria. Okay, you are going too deep. Can we, where is the cells in the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? Plasma membrane. Where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? From the metabolism that is going on in the cell. We have been telling that hundreds of times.
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly? My question is not exact. My question is a broad question. It is my question is, where is the carbon dioxide in the cells coming from? Anyway, sometimes we tend to be very, very specific in our answers and forget that it is a very simple question and very simple. Anyway,
Because you are good, so we think a deep thing.
okay. Okay, coming back. Carbon dioxide here. Okay. Now it moves to the extracellular space, from the extracellular space into the tissue capillary. And as you can see here, look at the big arrow, the broad arrow over here. Like I have told you, the carbon dioxide also is dissolved in the plasma in the dissolved form, 7%.
Yeah.
Okay. There is formation of bicarbonic carbonic acid in the plasma also, but it is very, very slow, as you can see. Very slow, yani almost like negligible. Carbon dioxide which is moving inside the RBC, this carbon dioxide, as you know, all these reactions, and it is very fast because of the carbonic anhydrase, carbonic acid split, okay, and the chloride shift phenomenon.
Yes.
Clear this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. It is also showing the oxygen, but we will come to oxygen later on. It is the same, another picture. Okay. Now, this is the tissue level. In the tissues, inside the cells, the beginning point that I began with, what is the PCO2 inside the cells? It is 46 PCO2.
Yeah.
Okay, partial pressure of carbon dioxide intracellularly. Outside the cells, it is 45. So where it is higher? Of course, inside the
Inside.
cell. And this partial pressure difference will cause a diffusion gradient.
Yeah.
Will cause a diffusion gradient, right? So net diffusion will occur from inside the cell to the outside.
Outside.
Was hybrid.
Blood that is coming, okay, blood that is coming
From the arterial.
from the arterial end of the capillary,
But in the venous wall.
okay, this is having PCO2 40.
Yes.
Okay, it is having PCO2 40. This PCO2 will be at equilibrium with the PCO2 of the extracellular space, which is 45. So by the time it leaves the venous end, okay, it is picking up Picking up what? Carbon dioxide. So when it is coming here, the PCO2 is 40. Okay, that is oxygenated blood. You can say that.
Yeah.
Okay, pure blood. And when it is going out from the tissues, the PCO2 is becoming 45. That means it has picked up more and more
Yeah.
carbon dioxide. Okay, at the tissue level. Now from the tissue level, we go to the lung level. Now this is the alveoli, and this is the pulmonary capillary. It is written here, the pulmonary capillary. So at the arterial end of the pulmonary capillary, the PCO2 will be the same as at the venous end of the tissue. Isn't it? Right? Why arterial end? Why arterial end? Why not venous end? Because deoxygenated blood or impure blood should be at the venous end, not the arterial end. So why it is written arterial end?
Only oxygen.
Again, a simple question. Okay, no, nothing very specific or deep.
It's the only oxygen that carries.
Yeah, only
Yeah, because from the heart, it is the pulmonary artery which is carrying the impure blood or deoxygenated blood to the lungs.
Yeah.
Correct? So that is why it is written the arterial end. And the arterial end PCO2 will be 45. Why it is 45?
As the venous central.
Because this is the deoxygenated blood coming from the body.
Yes.
Hence it is 45.
Then
Okay?
yeah.
Yeah.
Arterial and then
Yes. What about the PCO2 in the alveolus? It is 40. It is 40.
Yeah.
So this is having higher PCO2 as compared to this. So net diffusion will occur from the capillary
arterial.
into the alveolus. And it will be at equilibrium. So equilibrium means the blood that is going away will have 40 PCO2. Now this is coming back to the heart, from the heart to the tissue.
Tissue level.
So it is having 40. You understand the combination of the two diagrams?
Yes.
Okay? This is how carbon dioxide is
Okay.
transported.
So the net diffusion and this picture, it's kind of start from where to where? Net diffusion. Not inside.
Net diffusion
No, no, no.
from inside the cell in this direction. In this direction. Net diffusion. Okay? Again, net diffusion in this direction. Yes or no? Okay? From the alveoli, it will be going out into the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide transport. Okay? Okay?
Yes.
Now, let's look here. This is called as the Haldane effect. Okay? At the level of the lungs. What is happening to PO2 at the level of the lungs? Blood,
Yeah.
deoxygenated or impure blood is coming to the lungs. What happens at the level of the lungs? It becomes oxygenated. It picks up more and more oxygen. Yes, isn't it?
Yes.
So PO2, for example, for explanation, PO2 is 0. Then PO2 becomes 10
Yes.
because it is picking up more and more oxygen. PO2 becomes 100.
More.
As the partial pressure of oxygen in the lungs is increasing, as the partial pressure is increasing, what is happening to the carbon dioxide? What is happening to the carbon dioxide? It is decreasing, isn't it?
Yes.
So you see here, what is this PCO2? 40 and PCO2 50. We had just in the previous diagram we had seen PCO2 of 40 and 45, isn't it? So let us concentrate on 40 and 45. So if it is at 40, here for example, so here there is more binding of carbon dioxide when partial pressure of oxygen is negligible. And if partial pressure of oxygen is 100, what is the binding of hemoglobin or concentration of PCO2? It becomes less. It becomes less here,
Yeah.
isn't it? Here it is more. What is this on the left side? More and high. It is carbon dioxide content milliliters per 100 ml of blood. Per 100 ml of blood.
Yeah.
Now the point that you have to really understand here, which I had specified, actually explained during our gas exchange class. There were two things I had told you. One is partial pressure of a gas and another is concentration of a gas. You remember that point?
Yes.
partial pressure and concentration.
What's the difference?
I told you, I'm not, shall I repeat from the last class again? Partial pressure is the pressure exerted by a gas in a content of gases. Okay? Or
Concentration,
partial
same
pressure,
ratio.
like for example, the same partial pressure, I had given you that picture. In the air, it is PCO2 is 40, for example. And in the solution, after some time, again PCO2 can be 40. Yeah, right? You remember that?
Yes,
PCO2
yes.
in air and in fluid, 40. Both of them.
Yes,
But
telecom-
concentration difference in the air and in the fluid is different. At the same PCO2.
CO2
Yeah.
more higher.
Isn't it? And if you compare it with oxygen, it is 20 times more than the solubility is 20 times more than that of oxygen. Do you remember this?
Yes.
So that is the point here. At the same partial pressure of carbon dioxide, C40,
Yeah.
but in relation to binding of oxygen with hemoglobin, at the same partial pressure also, you can see that the concentration or content of carbon dioxide per 100 milli of blood is less. Even though partial pressure may be the same. Partial pressure can be the same. Like I have already explained in gas exchange. Okay? So, what does this show you? Content of carbon dioxide decreases in the blood as there is more and more binding of oxygen. Isn't it?
Yes.
So can we say that as more and more oxygen binds with hemoglobin, more and more carbon dioxide is released? Can we say that?
Yes.
We can say that. This effect is called as Haldane effect.
Sure.
So what is Haldane effect? Haldane effect is, or Haldane effect describes the phenomena of more and more dissociation of carbon dioxide from hemoglobin when more and more oxygen association occurs. Can we say like that? Okay. This is Haldane effect. Haldane, this is the name of the scientist, this is the scientist. Carbon dioxide dissociation curve is influenced by oxygenation state of hemoglobin. More the oxygenation, okay, less will be association with carbon dioxide. Okay, it is affected, this dissociation curve. And transport of carbon dioxide is dependent on oxygen release. Okay, where oxygen release at the level of the tissues. This is Haldane effect.
Okay.
Shall we go on?
If I want to read the first line in relation to the carbon dioxide, partial carbon dioxide, how we read
Where?
it?
Which line? First line. This is what are these
This
lines?
is-
These
yeah.
black lines. These black lines indicate
Yeah.
dissociation curve. This is the curve.
Yes.
What do you mean by dissociation? The removal of carbon dioxide from hemoglobin, for example. For example, hemoglobin, it will dissociate.
Yes.
Similarly, oxygen will also dissociate. We will also study that. Okay? So this curve indicates that. On this line, on this axis, there is partial pressure of carbon dioxide. On this axis, there is concentration of or content of carbon dioxide dissolved form. Isn't it? Per 100 milliliters. And this is PCO.
Gosh.
You want to see how much carbon dioxide is dissociating or being released. Dissociating means being released from the blood. Either in dissolved form, either as it is transported in bicarbonate form. Okay?
Yes.
Understood? This is dissociation. This brings us to oxygen transport. Oxygen transported, like carbon dioxide is transported in three forms.
Yes.
Oxygen is transported in
Two.
2% physically dissolved. 7% carbon dioxide, 7% physically dissolved.
Yeah.
Oxygen,
Two.
2%. Because as you know, again from our gas exchange class, solubility of oxygen is very less
Than
in
carbon
fluids.
dioxide.
Okay? So most of it, or almost you can say, almost all of it is transported chemically bound to hemoglobin molecule.
Oxyhemoglobin.
Yeah, that is the major, one of the major functions of hemoglobin, right? Compared to carbon dioxide, oxygen is relatively insoluble in the blood. At partial pressure of 100 milliliter blood contains 0.3 only. As we had seen in our gas exchange, only 0.3 milliliters. Amount dissolved is directly proportional to partial pressure. More the partial pressure, more will be the dissolution. Less the partial pressure, less dissolution. Again, this is a highly reversible reaction between oxygen and hemoglobin. Oxygen bound to hemoglobin. This is deoxyhemoglobin, HHB, deoxy. When it binds with oxygen, it becomes oxyhemoglobin, HbO2, and the hydrogen ion is released. Okay?
Yes.
Where is this HHB coming from? From carbon dioxide transport.
Protonated.
You know, protonated hemoglobin at the level of the tissues. Isn't it?
Yeah.
At the level of the tissues. When carbonic acid is being formed, carbonic acid immediately dissociates into H positive and HCO3 negative. H positive binds with hemoglobin at the level of the tissues, and that is protonated hemoglobin. HCO3 is given out bicarbonate ion in the plasma. Now all this is going to the lungs. Now all this is going to the lungs. The protonated hemoglobin is there. Now oxygen is being picked up. It is becoming oxygenated hemoglobin, and again the hydrogen ion is released. Okay? Clear so far? There is a cycle. You have to think of it as a cycle going on from the tissues to the lungs and back to the tissues. Any problem?
No.
No problem. Hemoglobin is a protein composed of 4 polypeptide globin chains. You know all this, from your biochemistry class, iron containing heme group, and there are 4 binds, and it binds rapidly and reversibly. Okay, Alas?
Yes.
So these are the 2 beta chains and these are the 2 alpha chains. These are the binding sites. Now let us see saturation. Okay, this is partially saturated. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 sites, but 3 sites are bound. So this saturation is partially saturated. Whereas in this, if we see the saturation, it is fully saturated and becomes red also. So there is a concept of oxygen saturation, and you must be knowing in the hospitals nowadays we can very easily know the saturation of blood gases, particularly oxygen, by just attaching this sensor on the fingertip, isn't it? On the fingertip there is a sensor attached, and it gives directly the saturation of the gases, particularly oxygen. Now the same thing, like we had seen in case of carbon dioxide transport. So let us start with the lung level, isn't it? And then we will go to the tissue level, because oxygen transport is like that, right? In the alveolus, the partial pressure of oxygen is 104. Why? Because of ventilation. Because the alveolus is being ventilated from air which is coming from outside. Air partial pressure will be almost equal to the partial pressure in the alveolus, correct? Okay, 104. Now this is the arterial end of the pulmonary capillary. What is the PO2 over there? 40. By the time it comes to about 1/3 of the capillary, as you can see the arrows, this arrow is longer, this arrow is shorter.
Yes.
That means indicates what?
Diffusion.
Net diffusion. Net diffusion. It indicates diffusion, yes. But what is more correct? More specific? Net diffusion. Net diffusion is from alveolus to the pulmonary cavity, right? But see here the length of the arrows, they are equal. That means diffusion is occurring here also, but there is no net diffusion. Indicates what? The length of the capillary is more than sufficient for the gas to be exchanged or to come at equilibrium. And by the time it comes from here to here, this 40 is becoming 104 here. What about this? This is reserved. This is reserved in times of more need. Like for example, during exercise, you need more oxygen, okay? Or fight and flight reactions or things, okay? So at that time, this reserved space can be used for more and more oxygenation. Anyway, so PO2 of blood coming from the body is 40. PO2 in the alveolus is 104. So at this end it will be blood that is leaving
Yeah.
the pulmonary capillaries, it will be having
Same.
PO2 same as 104. Clear so far?
Yeah.
Clear? Now let us go to the tissues. This is the same diagram. I don't need to explain this. This is 40. This is 40. See here.
Yeah.
Okay. And by the time it is coming from here to here, it is coming 104. So look at the uptake of oxygen inside the hemoglobin or
Go to the-
pulmonary blood. Now let us go to the
Tissue.
tissue end. At the tissue end, the PO2 will be
95.
why? It should be 104. It is because the blood it is going out is 104. It should be 104 here. Why it is 95? Almost like 9
Partial
millimeter is reducing. This is because of a phenomena called as venous admixture of blood. What is the phenomena called?
Venous admixture.
Venous admixture. That means there is some mixing from the venous side, from the veins. And what is the partial pressure of the PO2 in the veins? It is 40. Which veins, by the way? Which veins are coming and mixing with this pure blood? The veins or the venous blood, which is from the lung tissues, the lung parenchyma. Like I had told in the gas exchange class, isn't it? That there are areas where the gas exchange is taking place in the lungs. But there are some areas where gas exchange will not occur because that blood is going to only supply nutrition to the cells, the parenchyma, okay, of the lungs themselves. Now this blood has to come back. This deoxygenated blood from the lung tissues is coming back and joining somewhere here, you can say, isn't it? Joining with the blood that is coming from the pulmonary veins.
Yes.
Now, when 40 will combine with 104, naturally it will come down. The partial pressure of oxygenation state will come down, I can say. And hence, it becomes 95. Okay?
Yes.
This becomes 95 because of phenomena called as
Mixture.
venous
Admixture.
admixture of blood. Okay? Now, intracellularly, the PO2 is 23. Extracellularly, it is 40. And in the oxygenated blood, it is 95. So, which is the direction? Very easy.
From the
The
blood.
direction from blood to the cell. Okay? And in this way, directly, the oxygen is delivered to the tissues. By the time it is coming out of the venous end of the capillary, its partial pressure will be equal to the partial pressure of the interstitial space, which is 40. It is 40. So this will also be equal to 40. This 40 is going to the heart and coming back to the lungs. 40. Correct? This is carbon dioxide. This is oxygen part. And what does this picture tell you? It is the same description. Okay? We did not describe everything here, but let us focus on one thing. The phenomena of reverse chloride shift. So there was chloride shift in case of carbon dioxide transport. In case of oxygen transport, there is the reverse chloride shift. How? Can somebody tell me? It is very easy now. You have understood everything, isn't it? Where is this chloride ion coming from? In carbon dioxide transport, chloride was moving in which direction?
From the plasma.
From the plasma into the RBC.
Yeah.
That was chloride shift.
Yeah.
Why chloride was shifting inside? Why was chloride shift occurring?
Because there is excessive.
Because
Release.
in carbon dioxide transport,
Yeah.
final product bicarbonate is given out of the cell, causing a imbalance in the equilibrium,
Yeah.
disturbance in equilibrium inside the cell,
Yeah.
inside the RBC.
So make
To make equilibrium, chloride was shifting inside.
Yeah.
This phenomena is called as chloride shift. Now what happens here?
Air chloride, they
Chloride
shift
goes
to-
from the
from
outside.
the oxy to the
Yes. Why does chloride go out?
because
Chloride is going out as
There's already
bicarbonate is shifting back in. Bicarbonate is shifting back in.
Yeah.
This bicarbonate combines with the hemoglobin. Why? Why it has to shift back in? Because of the proton released. Proton, what is proton? Hydrogen. Why hydrogen proton is being released? In that previous slide, I had shown you HB, protonated hemoglobin, isn't it?
Yes.
Now here there is dissociation of oxygen. When oxygen is being dissociated, this proton will be released. When the proton positive is being released, negative ion, which is bicarbonate, is coming back in. When bicarbonate comes back in, this proton and the bicarbonate, they mix, they combine, forming carbonic acid. Again, there is the carbonic anhydrase. And this carbonic anhydrase makes the reaction very fast. Which reaction? Association of hydrogen and bicarbonate. Formation of bicarbonic acid. Bicarbonic acid to be dissociated into water and carbon dioxide. This carbon dioxide, because of less pressure, will move out in this direction. So both the things, they are going together. So now you understand this? Once bicarbonate is shifting in, the chloride which is in, it will go out.
Yes.
Hence, this is called as
Reverse.
reverse chloride shift. Understood? The rate at which hemoglobin reversibly binds to oxygen is regulated by mostly the partial pressure of the oxygen. Then by temperature, pH of the blood, whether it is acidic or alkaline, acidosis condition or alkalosis conditions. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide also is affecting, and 2,3 DPG or BPG, 2,3 diphosphoglycerate or biphosphoglycerate. Okay. Number 1, partial pressure. The most important factor is partial pressure, that will determine movement. Okay, that determines how much oxygen combines with hemoglobin. It is the partial. More the partial pressure, more the combination, until it becomes saturated. This brings us to the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. We had seen carboxyl hemoglobin dissociation curve before, right? Now this is oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve. The same thing. On this axis there is PO2, partial pressure of oxygen. On this axis there is saturation. Saturation means how much it is dissolved, isn't it? Saturated. Percent oxygen saturation of hemoglobin. How much it is bound, not dissolved. Dissolved is here. How much it is bound. Like I have shown you those pictures in which there is partial saturation and there is full saturation. Partial saturation means out of the 4 binding sites, 3 binding sites are occupied with hemoglobin, but 1 binding site is remaining. So it is partially saturated. Fully saturated, all the 4 sites are bound. So this shows percent saturation of hemoglobin. This shows partial pressure of oxygen, and this shows concentration or how much it is dissolved. Okay, milliliter of oxygen per 100 milliliter of blood. Correct?
Yes.
Now we use this. Look at, for example, 40. The PO2 40 is where?
The lung.
In the tissue.
At the venous side.
At the venous end.
Yeah.
At the venous end in the tissue or the arterial end in the lungs,
Yes.
you can say. So it is 40, right? But primarily because we are talking about pickup, okay, or say delivery of oxygen over there. So at the tissues it will be, PO2 will be 40. And inside the tissues, PO2 will be 40. What about in the lungs? It is like 104 or 100, isn't it? So 100 means here, this is the point. When you plot a graph, you know how to plot a graph, isn't it? So at 100 PO2, you make a dot here. This is 100. Why? Because it is 100% saturation. At 100 PO2 in the lungs, what is the saturation of the hemoglobin? Almost 100%. Almost, isn't it? So you put a dot here. What about at 40 at the tissue level, at partial pressure of 40, what is the saturation? Is it 100% saturated at 40 partial pressure? No, it will not be. How much it is? It is about 75% saturated. How much is the saturation?
78.
Yes, 78 or 75. Okay, 60, 70. This is 70, right? So is it 75, 73? 75% saturated. Okay. So what is the percent saturation at PO2 40?
7.
Remember 75. What is the percent saturation at 100? Almost 100. It's not 100%. Okay. Almost 100%. 99 point.
95.
No, not even 95. 99 point something. Very near. Okay. Got that? Now what about the dissolved form? Milli oxygen per 100. Okay. With this is 5 milli dissolved. This is 10 milli dissolved in 100 milli blood. What is dissolved? Oxygen. We are talking about oxygen here. So at this particular saturation and partial pressure, what is the saturation here? 75%.
Yeah.
What is the partial pressure? 40. How much is dissolved?
50.
About 50. Okay? About 50. At 100% saturation and
20.
partial pressure, how much is dissolved?
20.
20. That means, how much is the oxygen delivery to the tissues? 5. 5 million. Correct? Understood? And this is the graph that you get when you talk about, when you plot oxygen hemoglobin dissociation. Oxygen hemoglobin is associating where? At the lungs.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Mainly it is associating, right?
Yes.
At the tissue level, it is dissociating. Binding occurs there and unbinding or dissociation occurs at the tissue level. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes.
Now, there can be factors. There can be factors, like we have seen, which can affect this curve. Factors that shift the curve to the right. Shift the curve to the right means what?
Shift what?
Shift the curve.
Here.
This curve. Where is it? This curve.
Yes.
Yeah. Shift the curve to the right. Now shifting of the curve to the right means what?
Change it.
Now instead of here for example.
Yeah.
So at the same partial pressure, what is the saturation? Less.
Yeah.
Okay? Less saturated.
Yeah. Shift to right this and lift
Yes.
more.
And shift to the left means
More.
at the same pressure, it is more saturated. At the tissue level, which is beneficial? Shift to the right or the left?
Shift to the left.
At tissue level, shall I repeat? Shall I repeat?
No.
Again, shift to the right means what? At the same partial pressure, any partial pressure, 40, 60, any, okay? Say 40. At the same partial pressure, if the curve is, if this is normal. Normal is how much saturated? 75%. At the same partial pressure, if the curve is shifting to the right, what will be the saturation? Less than 75, less saturated. If it is shifting to the right. If it is shifting to the left, it is more saturated, almost like 80 or 85% at the same partial pressure.
Yeah.
My question is, at the tissue level, which is beneficial? Shift to the right or shift to the left?
Oh, the saturation. Yeah.
To the left. Because more saturation.
More saturation means what?
More binding.
More binding.
Yeah. It's reverse. Yeah.
So this was a
But they
question
said-
for you all,
But they said we don't have dissociation.
right? This was not a simple question. So what is the question? Can you explain? What is beneficial at the tissue level?
We need dissociation.
Shifting of the curve, oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, to the right or to the left? Can you do the answer? What is beneficial? What is beneficial If you are paying attention, you can give the answer. It's very easy.
Right picture.
Shifting to the right is beneficial. Shifting to the right is beneficial. Why? Because
More
To
dissociation.
be more at 100% in the lung, to be more not binding to the tissue. Like here, at the level of the lung, 100, it's still 5% not binding. As you explained, it's reserved to the tissue.
we are talking about the tissue level, not the lung level. Okay? At the tissue level, again, right? Shifting to the right will be beneficial. Why? Because it will be less saturated. Less saturated means more dissociation.
Yeah.
More saturation means oxygen is combined with
Yes.
oxygen. It is not releasing the oxygen, which is not good. We want oxygen to be released at the tissue level. Right?
Yeah.
So if the curve is shifting to the left, not beneficial for the body. At the tissue level, please remember.
Yeah.
But at the same time, will you remember that the curve keeps on normally, keeps on shifting. At the tissue level, it shifts to the right, and at the lung level, it shifts to the left.
Yes.
You understand my statement?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oxygen, hemoglobin,
Hemoglobin,
dissociation
tissues.
curve at the level of the tissues normally
Right.
shift to the right,
Yeah.
and at the level of the lungs
Left.
shift to the left.
Yes.
Because more point.
You understand this statement?
Yes.
Yes.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, let us go ahead. Okay, so anything now which increases the temperature, where will temperature increase? At the level of the lung or the tissues? Normally.
Yeah.
Where? Higher temperature where?
Tissue.
At the level of the tissues. Why? Because of metabolism. Rate of metabolism liberates heat. It generates and liberates carbon dioxide also. So temperature is high. Increased 2-3 dpg. Increased partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Where is partial pressure of carbon dioxide increasing? At the tissue level. It is taking up, as oxygen is dissociating, carbon dioxide is being taken up. So PCO2 is increasing. If there is increased PCO2, there is more dissociation of oxygen.
Yes.
Okay?
More left.
Is it opposite of the Haldane effect? Yes. What is this called as?
More.
Bohr effect. Bohr effect. What is Bohr effect? To remember Bohr effect and Haldane effect. Later on, after 1 month, if I say, Nawaf, what is Haldane effect and Bohr effect at the gate of the college? So you should not forget. The thing is, how you will remember? H for high. High means lungs.
Yeah.
B, Bohr effect. B for below. Below means at the level of the tissues. Yani, like that. It's not like that. High and low or high or below.
Just for
But you can. It's like that. You know,
Far.
from the lungs to the tissues, the oxygen is going. So you can remember like from a height to a lower side. So below, B, Bohr. Below means tissues.
Yeah.
High or height,
Haldane.
Haldane
Yeah.
means lungs. So inshallah it will be very easy for you to remember. Otherwise after some time you will be confused. Where is Bohr effect? In the lungs or in the tissues? Now I hope you will not forget it inshallah. H for lungs, high, H high lungs, B tissues, Bohr.
Yeah.
Okay? B below. Okay. So what is the Bohr shift? The Bohr shift is the shift of the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve to the right. What are the causes of Bohr shift?
Increased temperature.
Increased temperature, increased 2-3 dpg, increased PCO2, increased
Decrease the pH.
decrease in pH. Why is the pH decreasing?
Less bicarbonate.
Yeah, we have seen in the previous picture. We had seen pH basically means the availability of the protons, of the hydrogen ions. More the hydrogen ions, free hydrogen ions, more is the acidity, or less is the pH, isn't it? Now, if this proton is being taken up by bicarbonate and formation of carbonic acid, so it is becoming more alkaline. So pH is what? Increasing or decreasing? I can confuse you very easily, it seems. Huh? And you go along with me.
معك على خير يا شيخ.
Decrease in pH means what?
ما أصير.
More acidity. More acidity means what? More hydrogen ions. Are there more hydrogen ions?
No.
Yes, for a short time. You see? Shall we go back?
لا.
Yes, we should to clarify. To clarify. See here, this hydrogen ion. This hydrogen ion. See here? Oxygen. Hemoglobin. So it will release the hydrogen ion. As soon as this hydrogen ion is released, there is decrease in the pH. So where is that decrease in the pH coming from? Now inshallah you will remember. Where is the decrease in pH coming from? Somewhere. Okay? But the next step is obviously it will combine. Okay? It will be taken up, etc. But at that moment of time when oxygen is being delivered, at that moment of time pH is decreasing. Correct? Understood?
Yes.
What are the factors that shift the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve to the left? To the left, I am saying, not the right.
Increase in pH.
Increase pH.
Decrease temperature.
And remaining three. So it is also very easy to remember. What are the causes that shift it to the left? What are the causes that factors that shift it to the right? Very easy to remember. Three factors: increase, pH, decrease. Just remember pH. pH decrease and three factors. Remaining three factors increase, shift to the right.
Yeah.
pH increase and remaining factors decrease, shift to the left.
Yeah.
This one occurs at the tissue levels, that one occurs at the lung level. Okay? Hello, I think this is effect of carbon monoxide, CO. Carbon dioxide, CO2.
Yes.
Carbon monoxide, very powerful, very poisonous.
Yes.
From our car, isn't it? From the car exhaust, you have what emission? You have carbon monoxide emission. People use it to commit suicide, isn't it? The car, they go in their garage, close the garage, and put a pipe in the exhaust, and put the pipe in the car, and close the car, and they sit inside. They sit inside, and they die. Why do they die? Because of the carbon monoxide over there. Now why? Because hemoglobin binds with carbon monoxide 240 times more readily than with oxygen. Carbon dioxide, like I have told you, does not compete with oxygen in binding with hemoglobin.
Yeah.
But look at carbon monoxide. 240 times more rapidly. And the thing is, this carbon monoxide is tasteless, odorless, colorless. I mean, you don't even know that you are breathing carbon monoxide sometimes. And it can be deadly poisonous, fatal. Look at it. Whole of the hemoglobin will be saturated very rapidly with monoxide. There will be no available site for oxygen to bind with hemoglobin. Even though oxygen may be there, but there is no available site because carbon monoxide will not leave hemoglobin. Remember that. Okay? It makes it difficult for hemoglobin to release kidakida. Okay? And effect of anemia. I wanted to show this here. I wanted to show effect of anemia. Carbon monoxide, you may in your life as a doctor come across one or two patients or maybe not at all. Okay? Like in anemic patients, you will come across many anemic patients. Almost every other woman particularly, they suffer from anemia. Isn't it? So, what is the effect of anemia on the oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve? Look here. This is anemia. 40% of normal. It is shifted completely to the right. And why is it so? Because the content itself, because the RBCs are less either, because there are types of anemia. Or RBCs may be normal, but hemoglobin inside may be not normal. Or hemoglobin content may be less. There are so many factors for anemia. So you can just, if you have understood oxygen hemoglobin dissociation curve, you can understand the effect of anemia on it. Isn't it? Naturally the carrying capacity is very, very less. Isn't it? Decreased hemoglobin is there, which will be leading to decreased oxygen carrying capacity of blood and decreased oxygen content. So saturation remains normal. Why saturation is normal? Because saturation has got nothing to do with it has to do with binding, not with quantity or amount of hemoglobin. If hemoglobin is normal, the person is normal. If hemoglobin is less, the person is anemic. But this less hemoglobin, what is the saturation with oxygen? It is normal. It will not change. All the four. All the four sides in the hemoglobin will be taken up by the oxygen. So fully saturated. But the quantity itself is normal, is less of hemoglobin, so it is anemic. And this is for you. This is comparison. This is comparison at the alveolar level, at the tissue level. Okay?
خلاص.
Allah. Alhamdulillah. Attendance, please. One more point. Just one point. During our discussion, we have talked about bicarbonate and hydrogen ions, correct? And the role of hemoglobin in picking up hydrogen ions and in picking up bicarbonate also. Isn't it? Right?
Yeah.
Primarily hydrogen ions. That means one of the other important roles of hemoglobin in our body is to act as a buffer. Yes, to act as a acid-base buffer. Okay? Also remember that. I think this will be covered more extensively in biochemistry.
Thank you.